Remember those endless summer days that felt like they just last forever? Sun rays kiss your skin. Grass tickles your toes as you bite into the creamy popsicle melting in your hand. Pure, unbothered bliss. Capture more sun-drenched memories with the Orange Vanilla Dream Hydration Multiplier from Liquid IV. This nostalgic vanilla flavor with notes of candied orange can help keep you hydrated while savoring your favorite golden hour moments. No matter how hot your summer gets, just one stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you better than water alone. It's 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, with 8 vitamins and nutrients for refreshing on-the-go hydration. Live your summer dream with Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code INDULGE20 at checkout. That's code INDULGE20 at liquidiv.com.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
Coming up on episode 412 of Wheel Bearings, we got the Toyota Grand Highlander Nightshade, the Toyota Crown Signia, another update on Nicole's Jeep Wagoneer S. Lucid sort of gets Supercharger support for the Air. Honda and Acura get Supercharger access for their EVs. The new Honda Prelude's getting the Type-R suspension system, and the Acura TLX is no longer with us. 250,000 miles on a Mach-E, and it still has 92% of its battery capacity. $200,000 for an Acura Integra. All that and more coming up next. This is episode 412 of Wheel Bearings. I'm Sam Abul-Samad from Telemetry.
And I am Nicole Weekland from Let's Go with AutoWeb this week.
And unfortunately, Robbie's having a family emergency that he's dealing with, so he's not with us this morning. And actually, as it turns out, you weren't supposed to be here today either.
No, originally I was not going to be here, so I guess it's good that it worked out. Shall we talk about the adventure that led me to being home
right into that.
This Sunday morning? Okay, so Friday I was supposed to be flying to Washington D.C. and I got to the airport and I parked my my personal Jeep Wagoneer S. I parked it. It was about 90% charged. I plugged it in at the official chargers in the central parking garage at Logan Airport. It was happily charging. I even got a notification saying, hey, your car's finished charging, because I sat in the airport for 5 hours roughly before they finally canceled my flight and couldn't make it work. So hubby and I marched back out to the car and I opened the car door and guess what?
You got in, started up, and drove home and everything was good.
That would have been the case scenario that I was hoping for. However, instead I got in and my car is dead again. Is dead as a doornail on the 6th floor of the central parking garage at Logan Airport at approximately 9 p.m. on a Friday night. I can't open the tailgate. I can't. So here's the thing. So I'm thinking, okay, my 12 volts gone again, which has me cranky because what the heck, right? So to get out of the parking garage at Logan Airport, you can't have a tow truck come into the garage. Only Massport, who's the official transport, going to handle all this stuff, is allowed to tow from a Massport-owned garage. So what I had to do was call AAA to meet in the Hilton Airport Hotel parking lot and have Massport tow the car out to the flatbed that was taking it home. Now, wait, hold. You can't just tow an EV like a normal car. You have to have the flatbed. So what does one do? You put on these little dollies. I have now experienced 2 new towing options due to my Wagoneer S not being happy. First, little skid thingies they put under it to yank it out of the garage a couple of weeks ago. And now the dollies. Okay. So we have this all ready to go. And now before we get to the point, it was 2 hours to wait for AAA to come and tow the car. I also reached out to Jeep's roadside assistance because the car is new, and I have that because I was in Boston and I don't want it towed to Boston. I want it towed home to the dealership I deal with up here. Fun fact, they will only tow it to the nearest dealership to where your car is broken down. Do you know how much it would cost to tow the car from Boston to Nashua?
I'm going to say $300.
$456.12. And I said, no, thank you. I'll rely on my AAA membership. So, honest personal plug.
AAA
Go
usually
AAA.
won't tow that far.
You can have on your AAA. There's like AAA and then AAA Plus, I think it is.
Oh, you got the premium.
And I have the premium one, so if I ever broke down in the middle of nowhere or whatever, and because the girls were on it for the longest time. So I've had AAA Plus forever. Thank you, AAA, for not charging me $456.12 to take my car to Nashua, New Hampshire, to where the Allen Mello Dodge dealership that I use is. So, so I'm waiting. And in the meantime, now I'm with Russ, thankfully, because otherwise I'm in a parking garage at Logan Airport in the dark at 9:00 at night by myself with a car that won't go. Okay. So now Russ is like, well, there's got to be a way to get the tailgate open and access this 12 volt, blah, blah, blah. I crawled all over that car. I couldn't open the tailgate. We Google every single thing we can find online about how to release the tailgate and get all sorts of random instructions about how there's a thing under the bumper. Nope, I learned how to take the cover off. I want to hook up a trailer. Not the right thing. Put that back on. Learned how to do all sorts of other stuff. Cannot find any way to make that tailgate pop from the exterior. There's no spot to put in like a manual key, your little key that you have in your fob. Nope. That wherever it was. Now, mind you, 9:00 in the dark, we're doing this on the ground at a parking garage. So if it was right in front of me, we could not find it. I'm like, well, they say it's in the driver's side rear quarter panel is where it is. That's what Jeep had told me the first time this happened. So still can't get it open. So what have I done? We have pulled the luggage over the front seats, like out there, because we're going to put them in. So we had put it all back. Nope, we'll take everything out. Fold the seats down, take everything I had in the back out, take the cargo cover for the floor, the hard cargo cover. Now I am laying down across the seats in the dark with Russ's phone as a flashlight, trying to release the cargo cover from the wrong angle, right? Because you have to pull it towards the back of the tailgate. And then, well, that's pushing now, right? Get it released. Can't entirely get it up to the front. So it's sideways pulled up half on top of me. And I'm like, angled into the cargo area going, there's nothing here. There's no panel. There's no screw. There's no bolt. There's no latch. There is nothing I can find. And again, if it's right there, sideways half under the cargo cover at now probably 9:30 at night in the dark with only a cell phone as a light, I could not find it. We give up. We've tried everything. We even found an access thing inside the frunk. I'm like, that is not what we're looking for, right? So put all that back together. So we can't. So we tried everything to see if there was a way to access the 12 volts, jump it. Nobody can find it. I can't figure it out. So the guy finally comes. We even get to sit. After all this, we had about half an hour to just sit there on our butts in my dead car in the parking garage. And he comes and he hooks it up to the dollies to tow it out. When you tow it out, you have to go through the gates where you would normally pay. And this is where the story literally goes sideways. As the driver...
Oh, it hasn't gone sideways yet.
No. It's actually going somewhat straight so far. The front part of the towing mechanism, which is like this T-bar kind of looking thing that lifts your front wheels off of the ground, and there's little dollies on the back wheels. The front of it catches the post as we go through the gate. When it catches the post, it pops off the front tires, pokes up in the air, lifts the front tires up on one side, snaps the dolly off the back tires, which the dolly goes whee and smacks sideways into the back. And now my car is stuck in the gates on two wheels underneath the jack and I'm underneath the tow thing. And I'm like, And I have literally just said to Russ, who's waiting with the other driver, we'll be right there. I'm like, no, we won't. Text. It's going to be a minute. Text. And I send him a picture of the car.
So when you said sideways, you meant literally sideways.
Literally sideways. It's like got its front wheel is up and at an angle. It's like lifted off the ground, and it's And now I'm like, I get out and I'm like, how bad is this? Because I'm riding in the tow truck. I get out of the tow truck and I look at this and I'm like, did it just get tipped funny sideways? Oh no, it didn't just get tipped funny sideways. The plastic trim is ripped off the front of the bottom, like underneath. On the side where the like T-bar thing has gone into the car, my beautiful black shiny wheel is now one with the cement curb. It's like right up the curb when it did that. I can see that it's weirdly angled, but again, I'm in a parking garage in the dark, so I can only see so much. I can see scraping from the dolly on the back of the car, again on the lower area of the car. So it's all scraped to heck. So I'm like, there's damage. The first thing I'm saying, I'm like, okay, you guys, wait. How are we taking care of this? Because now you ruined the car. Like before it was a Jeep problem. Now it's a Jeep and a Massport problem. So I had to fill out all this claim form. I took a bunch of pictures while I was there. I took it to the Jeep guys. When I spoke to them on Saturday morning and told them what happened, he's like, yeah, the car's still in the parking lot. We're looking at it. He's like, but I had a guy shimmy under your car, like in the lot to look at it. He's like, that jack actually, the tow truck poked a hole into part of the cover underneath. There's really like a hole. And I said, so is this cosmetic stuff or did it do something? He's like, we won't know until we get it up on actual lift. And he said, and you have a lot of damage underneath that car. He said, I said, would you take pictures? He's like, we're not just going to take pictures. We're going to take pictures of everything. And we're going to write up an entire list, like what we see that's damaged that needs to be repaired. They gave me a loaner. I have a lovely little Jeep Compass in the driveway where they try and figure out the battery issue, which is their responsibility. And I have a claim form filed with Massport, which is now Massport's responsibility, and I have to call them. And I'm driving this Compass around for the next week. While they try to figure out.
Massport will cut you a check on Monday morning, and it'll all be good.
For the love, that's the stressful part. Honestly, that's the worst part. I'm like, oh gosh, I have to deal with like an official government agency in Massachusetts. Now, the garage guy, his name was Jesus. He's the manager. He was fantabulous. Actually said, you'd be surprised how often random things happen in the garage, like especially in the winter. They're, a plow, they're plowing on the roof and they clip a car, whatever. He said, they have policies to handle this. He's like, your car is brand new. It's not like they're going to look and go, well, that was existing damage. And I even happen to have a picture of the guy hooking it up to the dollies in the parking space where you can see it was in one piece. But yeah, so I have to deal with that now. I'm loving this car right now. Let me tell you, this has been the single best new purchase car experience of my life, Sam.
When you did get into the car, mm-hmm. and before you were crawling around under the mm-hmm. cargo cover, mm-hmm. Did anything come on at all?
Completely dead. And the thing was, I clicked the door to unlock the door, and it did unlock. So it had 1/100th of an ounce of juice in it. I don't know. I clicked the door to unlock, but then I opened it and everything's black. And I was like, uh-oh. And then I said, and then I shut the door because that's habit and hit start and it won't start. And for a second, the door wouldn't, I had to use the little emergency release, which is sort of like under the armrest to pop the door because the door didn't want to power open. So then we just opened the doors and yeah. And it did still open. Russ opened the door on the other side and it opened. So I don't know what it was like. I'll give you door power, but that's it. I don't know quite how that worked.
It may be that there's a capacitor in there somewhere that's got enough energy just to unlatch the doors.
Maybe. But it is not enough to unlatch the tailgate. It won't let you open the tailgate. And I even looked like I turned the light off because I know trunks obviously have the emergency little thing that glows in the dark if you were actually shut in a trunk. I'm thinking, I don't think this will have one because it's a hatchback. It's not a trunk. But I did sit there in the dark for a second. I'm like, nope, nothing's glowing. Can't get this open. Mm-hmm. So
I wonder, because you said you plugged it in when you got to the parking garage?
And it charged. It said it was charging, and it charged. And because we were at the garage for 5 hours waiting for our flight, I even got the notification saying your Jeep is charging, and then I got a notification saying your Jeep is done charging.
I wonder if there was some kind of issue, an interaction between the charger and the vehicle that may have damaged the vehicle. Because that has happened in the past.
But I mean, it could. That could potentially be what happened. I somehow don't think that, because I mean, I've charged at that charging station countless times. You know, I've used, I mean, not that exact one, although I could have, you know what I mean? Like I've used those chargers. There could have been, but it seemed like it finished charging like normal. Like I didn't, every now and then something's gone wrong. Like we've had power fluctuate at the house when it was plugged in or something. And I'll get like charging stopped, charging started, charging interrupted. I didn't get any kind of like notification saying something went sideways with the actual charging. Could have, but yeah. So now my car is at, and I want to be really clear because it's like, this is not a great thing. And as a customer, I am not happy, but I have to give credit to my dealership who's taking it really seriously. Like the Alan Mello guys are like, okay, no, we can't just replace.
They know you. They know that you know people.
They do, but also he's like, the 12 volt went the first time. We saw no other things, so we replaced the 12 volt. It can't have gone. There's no way. Like something is wrong. We got to figure it out. They said they called to figure it out. Or they reached out to Chrysler, you know, to see what's going on. And so that everyone knows I'm being really fair as a journalist, I reached out to Jeep and said, hey, I'm having this problem. It's in the dealership. This is where it is. I am going to be talking about this, but feel free to read, like, if you want to add, like, hey, this is what, if there's something to the story that you know, if there's something Jeep-wise, like we're aware of this, or we have this, or feel free, and I will share that. Now, this was all on a Friday night / Saturday morning. We're recording on a Sunday, so we don't have anything from Jeep to share about their feedback about this. But I did reach out to them to try and get some kind of information from them. And if there is information, I'll of course share it. The dealership has been, and they do know who I am. They do know that I know, you know,
you know people.
I know people, like not as like I know people, but like, well, she can reach out. If we don't reach out, she will, you know. But they have been really good. You know, they got me a loaner. He told me, and he was, you know, we're trying to get this done. We're going to go as quick as possible. We're a little bit stuck because we need some help here. We don't know why this is happening. And if it's not giving us a code, we don't know where to look, you know? So, and he made an interesting comment, and this wasn't like as a sarcasm or as anything, but I'm like, it truly is something I think that any mechanic is facing. He said, you know, we have really great mechanics here. These guys know these cars. They're really good at fixing cars. Like, but they're getting going electric. He's like, they have to be electricians now. And they're not electricians, they're mechanics. He said, it's a whole different thing for them to do. And it poses
and in
challenges.
many cases, it's not even just electricians. It's you need to know the software,
right?
Because a lot of times there's the software component.
Exactly. And he said they can plug in the diagnostics and say what is it, and it can throw a code, and they can look up the code and then say, oh, this thing went wrong or that thing went wrong. But the days you can't just open up and physically look at software and go, that code isn't working. Something has to tell you what's not working for you to know what is causing the problem. The one thing he did mention was that there was they have no bulletin about this, technical service bulletin, TSB, about this, but they did say they had one about something with the motors that could potentially cause an electrical problem. But he hadn't plugged it all in and checked it yet. He's like, it could be that. He's like, so we'll see what the good folks at Alamello Dodge say, and we'll see what the folks at Jeep say, and I will keep everyone updated. And this is really hard for me because I love this car otherwise, and I like the car, and I knew that Jeep does not have the best reliability. I did not expect it to be quite this bad. I was not anticipating this, and I'm trying to be really fair, but like the consumer side of me, if I was just a consumer talking to you, Sam, I'd be losing my mind, which is kind of where I was on Friday. I have calmed down since. But yeah,
I know the text you sent me on Friday night.
I was like, guess what just happened? But
yeah, I mean, I know how you feel. Like, when we bought our first Volkswagen back in 2000, it was a 2000 Passat wagon.
Yeah.
We loved driving that car. But that car, over the 9 years we owned it, had more mechanical issues and engine issues, really,
right,
than any other vehicle I've ever owned.
Yeah.
It's spent a lot of time in the shop over the years.
This has been probably the worst track record, the quickest of any car that we have. So I brought it in because there was just a recall and where I don't need to quote service it. I'm like, I got to make an appointment, because it's not like I have to change the oil in this. I'm like, I should. And it was related to lighting. It didn't actually cause a mechanical issue, but I had a piece that had broken off when I flipped the visor down. A piece of plastic just snapped and fell into my lap. So I'm like, can we take care of that? So they've ordered that piece. So I had the little visor piece snap. I had the frunk that was doing a funky thing and had to be adjusted because it wouldn't close. I had the 12 volt go once, and I believe the 12 volt go again. So I got this in March. It's the middle of July, April, May, June, July. So not quite 5 months. That's a lot of problems, 2 of which were catastrophic failures, basically, Even the frunk, if that had happened and I was out in the middle of nowhere and I couldn't close the frunk, how do you drive a car where your hood can just flip,
Yeah.
So potentially.
Bungee cord.
Bungee, exactly. Oh, Russ would have been bungeeing that thing. That would have been a sight. So it's not a great experience. We did do some Googling, and I'll say this caveat with, Googling brings you whatever consumers say. Russ actually was reading because he was trying to figure out a way to get it going. And there's a lot of people reporting problems with their 12 volt on their Wagoneer S. And some of them were saying there's a way you can, and we just can't figure out how to access that stupid battery. But they said if you disconnect the port and reconnect the port, but you need to have this size wrench to be able to access and do it, and that you should keep the wrench in your glove box. I'm like, I'm not driving around with the wrench in my glove box because my battery, that's just not a great. Now, I don't know that that's 1,000 people or the 5 people on this forum, you know what I mean? But the fact that when you Google this, you actually do find some issues with this. So I'm hoping that I get some kind of answer from Jeep, not in a way like, I need answers, but I'm really curious. What's happening? It feels like something is not quite right. And if it's dumb luck, that's pretty unusual dumb luck,
Well, to be fair, Jeep is not the only one that's having issues with 12 volt batteries on EVs. Mm-hmm. In the past with combustion vehicles and even with some EVs before we started getting into the so-called software defined vehicles, the 12 volt battery was just something that it just got charged. It got charged off your alternator,
right?
And it was a mechanical thing. There was no software governing it. When it should charge or not charge. And with these modern vehicles, now you've got a software component in there, and you've got a bunch of electronics deciding when you need to charge this thing, and that's been a problem for a lot of manufacturers.
Yeah, it's
including
not,
Tesla.
And didn't Kia and Hyundai have a big problem? Wait, the Kia you just had, your Kia was
the reason, part of the reason we got such a good price on ours was because Kia bought it back from a customer who was unsatisfied. He was frustrated with waiting for the recall. Kia and Hyundai had done a recall on their EVs to replace the charge control unit, which includes the DC-DC converter that goes from the high voltage battery to the 12 volt. And because we've answered a couple of questions in the past from listeners with Ioniq 5s and other Hyundais, and I reached out to Hyundai about it, and they acknowledged, there's an issue with that charge control unit. They've got a recall on that. They're replacing those. The car we bought has had that replaced. We haven't had any issues yet. As far as I know, newer ones are not having issues right now. But Ford still has an ongoing recall on Mach-E's, and I think most automakers at some point in the past few years have had an issue with one or more of their EVs with 12 volt batteries dying.
Well, and it's an interesting, and that's and a point that I wanted to make, and I'm glad you brought it up. This isn't a Jeep thing. This isn't like Jeep is the only OEM that's having trouble with this. Like you said, they're all kind of having trouble with this. I think the thing for me, part of when I bought this car for a lot of reasons. I like Jeeps, which I think everyone knows. I needed a new car. I wanted something that was, okay, I've had the same car. My old car was a 2010 Dodge Charger. It was just done. It was fine. but it's just old in every conceivable way. And I wanted something new with new tech, and I wanted it to be a little bit fancy. So it checked a lot of boxes for me. And the part of the EV thing was we get EVs to drive every week on occasion. An EV could end up in your driveway. It's one thing to get a car and drive it for a week as a loaner. It's another thing to live with it. And there was a part of me that was really curious. Okay, let's see how it is to live with having an EV. It's not proving to be great at the moment. In fact, even for this, like the timing on this was actually weirdly not as bad as it could have been, because I was going to a family thing in DC, flying home. I was going to drive directly to a Slate event in Newport, drive directly to the airport to drive a Hyundai, then come home. And then we were going to North Carolina and driving home. At any point in there where I was going to rely on this for a trip for the first time, like really like going places, it could have failed, and could have failed in the parking lot in Newport. Now I'm not getting to the Hyundai event on time because I can't get to the airport. At any point in there, if it had failed, it actually would have been more inconvenient. At least this just had me dealing with getting it out of Boston and going to bed at 2:30 in the morning, because that's how long it took to get all of this squared away. But it really hit home. And again, this isn't Jeep. This is just EVs. When this problem happens, there's so much more. You can't just open the hood and jump the battery and at least get yourself home. You can't. It's more complicated. You can't just tow it like normal, because you can't do that with an EV. You have to flatbed it. And it is a complicated process. And, it was interesting, Russ, being an engineer, looks at everything from an engineering point of view. And his engineering point of view was just like, why do we design this way? This should be easier. And he's not wrong. It should be easier. It shouldn't take the two of us trying to find this and Googling and trying to find whatever we can and not getting an answer to figure out how to do this kind of stuff. And so, I'm not anti-EV by any means, but man, this has been a challenge, and this has been a major inconvenience. This particular time, it's going to be an even bigger headache because the tow company managed to damage the car, which, could have happened with any vehicle. But it's like, okay, now my inconvenience has multiplied 100-fold having to deal with that. So, and I wanted to know what it was like to live with an EV. And I'm thinking, at this exact moment in time, at 11:59 on July 27th, not great, folks, not great. I'm not loving my decision right now. Maybe I'll be loving my decision next time record. Right now, not loving my decision.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
So far, we're doing fine with our EV6.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie has had a good experience now with two EVs, with a Kona and an Ioniq 5. We'll have to keep you up to date on this.
I'll let you know. Hopefully, the next podcast, I should have something additional to say. Hopefully, that's a week away. So let's see.
And we when we get around to listener emails at the end, we will circle back on the 12-volt issue.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Did you know you can support Wheel Bearings directly? Head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia and you can become a patron today. Your contributions will help fund the platforms and tools we use to bring the podcast to you. And exclusives and improvements are already on the way thanks to your generosity. So if you want to be part of an automotive podcast like no other, head to patreon.com/wheelbearingsmedia. We've updated the Wheel Bearings merch store, and now there's a whole bunch of new choices, new colors, new styles, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, travel mugs, stickers, aprons, tote bags, you name it. You can get your Wheel Bearings merch at shop.wheelbearings.media. Go check it out. That's shop.wheelbearings.media. So, did you drive anything this week that didn't leave you stranded?
I did drive something this week that did not leave me stranded. I drove the 2025 Crown Signia, which the Toyota Crown Signia. So the Crown is already out, but the Signia, which is sort of like an SUV kind of.
It's a wagon.
It's a wagon. I mean, it's a wagon. Let's be honest. It's a wagon. Yeah. That just came out this year. It's supposed to replace the Venza. as I understand it. So the Venza's dead. So this is a hybrid only. It has standard all-wheel drive. It's got the normal Toyota safety stuff that's on there, a nice 12.3-inch touchscreen. There's just two trims. You don't have a lot of options here. There's the XLE or the Limited. I had the Limited, which is $47,990. I did not have a Maroni, so I did not build this one out. But you want to take a guess at the destination fee? I mean, you win no matter what.
$13.95.
Holy cow! Exactly. Did you cheated? Didn't you?
I did not.
Okay,
It was a guess.
You're exactly on the money.
I had a Crown Signia a couple months ago.
Okay.
And I couldn't remember exactly what the number was, but I recall it being somewhere in that neighborhood.
Well, apparently you did remember exactly. $13.95. Okay. So the top trim I'm driving, $47,990. It's actually has a really nice interior. It's nice. It's comfortable. It looks good. Everything is, no complaints. It's a typical Toyota interior. Toyota has nice interiors. They're not generally super fancy, but they're not horrible and cheap either. They tend to look a little bit better as a rule. And I really liked how the interior was. Very comfortable. Drove this around quite a bit. Very comfortable ride. There's room. It's 5 people. So the second row, it's roomy, but it's not super roomy. I feel like if you were, if it was Robbie and Russ, one sit in front of the other, we're going to have problems. But if it's, average height person and tall person, you're probably going to be good. And it is comfy. I think you could fit 3 back there. 3 is going to be squishy. So 3 is going to be a short drive. 2, okay. 2 people can sit back there and you won't be too bad. Power comes from a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. It's a hybrid. There's 2 electric motors because it has the standard all-wheel drive. You get 100 and what? I'm looking at my own notes and I don't understand them. Total. What is it giving me? The torque, it broke out very weirdly here. 240 horsepower is what it has combined. And I believe the combined torque, it says 178 from the gas engine, that it broke it all out. Shoot, the way when I looked it up, I think it's about 280 pound-feet of torque is what it'll roughly be combined. So it's roomy enough and it's comfortable enough and it's powerful enough. It actually is pretty responsive. If you mash the gas pedal on the highway, it goes, and it handles nicely.
And it lets you know it's going.
It does. It's a little on the loud side. That CVT. It's like, oh, hello, we're going. So it's not quiet about it. In fact, I had gone to the movies with a friend and we were getting into heavy traffic and I had to accelerate hard to get up to speed in really congested traffic because there wasn't a lot of room. And she was like, whoa, like not the power of it, but the noise of it. So you know that you're accelerating. How much of a drawback is that? You're buying a hybrid wagon. You're probably going to not have the most robust powertrain in the planet. And given it has a CVT, you're probably going to know it. So I was fine with the horsepower. If you're looking for super refined and quiet and elegant and luxury, that's not this car, which is fine. It's also that car is going to be more expensive than this car. There's good room behind the second row. There's 25.8 cubic feet back there, fold them down 68.8. So you can fit a good amount of stuff back there. It's pretty roomy. And you can tow 2,700 pounds. So not a huge towing capacity, but you could tow something on the smaller side, which is fine. There's, like I said, there's a 12.3-inch standard infotainment touchscreen that works well. It's a nice, good size screen. I think that's a good screen size, like that 12 to 13-inch screen size in a car. You get bigger and they get kind of, they're almost like intrusive to the interior of the vehicle. You're like, okay, I don't need that much. You get much smaller and it's less easy to follow things like directions and maps, especially if it's someplace you're on, city streets where things can get a little complicated quickly. So I like this screen size. I think this is good. I have an 11-speaker JBL premium audio system. Sounds great. No problems with it. Bass trim gets a 6-speaker audio. You get wireless, connectivity. You get things like in the Limited, there's leather trim seats. They're heated and ventilated. You get a heated steering wheel. There's this glass roof. It's a fixed glass roof, but it's the entire length of the vehicle. Like it goes to the back seat. So it really lets in a lot of light, really makes it feel very open. I love that. I prefer to have something where I've got like a roof that, a sunroof or whatever, but at least having the ability to put that light in a car, it always makes it feel so much more open and airy, and even if you are squished in there, you don't feel quite so squished in, like in the back seat. If you just have some light over your head and don't feel like you're in a little cave. So I did like that. Overall, I like this. I think the Crown Signia is a good car. They bill it as being like there's a Toyota Crown and then there's Toyota Crown Signia, and this is the expansion of the Crown lineup. Okay, I feel like I don't know how much you can expand it, but I think overall I am a fan of the Crown Signia. I did like it. It's like a lot of Toyotas. It's not something that you're buying. I feel like Toyota's for a person that wants a reliable car that's sturdy and attractive and is going to go for as long as they want to own it and is reasonably responsive and powerful. And that's what this is. It's not sporty. It's not super. It's not luxury. It doesn't have like an incredible amount of power. It checks all the boxes nicely at a reasonable price and with good reliability. So I'm a fan. Overall, I liked it.
Cool. Yeah, I like the look of the Signia much better than the sedan.
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
I think it's a good shape. It's a decent size. I think it's a good family vehicle. For if you got a couple of kids. If you need a third row, it's obviously not the right choice for you. But if you don't need a third row, I think it's a really good combination. The thing that would be nice, and I was kind of surprised at, is that they don't offer the Hybrid Max powertrain in here.
Yeah, I wonder if it was. Do you think it was a pricing thing? Like, because it's only two trims, so they went really, only two, 43.5 for the base, 47.9 for the limited. Do you think they were just trying to make it really simple and easy and not complicated, and just chose not to do the more expensive Max?
I don't know, because the Crown Sedan is available with the Hybrid Max, so you can get it with either the standard regular Toyota hybrid system, as they call it, or the Hybrid Max.
Yeah.
And let me see, what was the price on that one?
Because I know the Max does add a little to it, so.
Yeah, and the thing about the Hybrid Max is it's not a CVT setup, so it uses a conventional 6-speed transmission.
I'm a fan of the Toyota's Hybrid Max. Like, if I was driving a vehicle where they had the hybrid, standard hybrid like this, or if they had the Hybrid Max, I go the Hybrid Max every time because it's more responsive, it's quieter, it's just a better powertrain. I far prefer it. Like, if this had that as an option, I would do that.
Let's see.
I wonder why. That's a question for.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. So the Crown Sedan, like the Crown Limited, with the regular hybrid system is 47,570.
Okay.
And then the Platinum, which has the Hybrid Max in there, is 54,990. So it's about $9,000 difference.
So it's a chunk of money.
Yeah. So it is quite a bit more expensive. But again, it's only in the Platinum trim, which also gets you a lot of other equipment. So I'm guessing the powertrain cost, is probably going to be somewhere around $3,000 or $4,000 if they just offered that option as a standalone option, which they don't.
Instead of, yeah. But if it would up that, it would make, I guess it would make that base trim, though, you'll get over 50 then in these for 346. Yeah, it would definitely push that limited trim over 50 maybe. Yeah. And it would be weird to just offer it on the base trim. Maybe they were trying to keep this under 50.
That could be. Yeah. And perhaps they were thinking, they looked at it and they're thinking that, this, even though, we're calling this a crossover, that consumers are going to look at it and think, oh, yeah, that's a really nice wagon. I'm not going to buy it. And so maybe they figured they're just not going to sell that many of them.
That could be.
Who knows?
Yeah, interesting choice. Because I really do like the Hybrid Max better. That powertrain.
I do too.
One. Yeah.
All right. Well, I also had a Toyota.
Oh.
With the regular Toyota hybrid system in there.
This is why I accused you of cheating. I'm like, wait, he has it on for his car.
But the destination charge on mine is different. Because the one I drove is built in Kentucky. Oh. The Crown Signia is built in Japan.
Okay, I'm going to go $995?
No.
Oh, I was trying. What is it?
$1,450.
It went the other way.
Yeah. But it is a bigger vehicle.
That's true. So I guess net, it's probably less per pound or something.
Yeah, if you did it on a per pound basis, it's probably less.
Like when you look at the tag in the grocery store, per ounce.
Yeah, so Toyota launched the Grand Highlander a couple of years ago. We went to Hawaii to drive that. And, you know, the Highlander for several generations now has offered, it's been a 3-row vehicle, but the third row was always kind of cramped. And so they introduced the Grand Highlander, which is based on the same architecture, but it's a little bit longer wheelbase, and it has a proper third row that adults can sit in. You probably don't want to sit in there for a cross-country road trip, but you know, certainly for shorter trips, you know, or across, you know, even, you know, a couple of hours, I wouldn't mind. I would be okay with sitting in the third row of this thing. You can sit upright. You're not knees in the air in this thing. You know, you're not pushed up against the back of the second row seats. So it's a useful third row vehicle or 3-row vehicle. There's 3 powertrain options in the Grand Highlander. You can get the regular 2.5 liter turbo with no hybrid, which is about 265 horsepower. There is the regular hybrid, which is basically the same setup that was in the Crown Signia that you drove, which has the eCVT. That one's 245 horsepower in the Grand Highlander. And then the Hybrid Max, which combines the 2.5 liter turbo with, it's a 2.4 liter turbo with a 6-speed automatic for 400 horsepower, 400 foot-pounds of torque, 362 horsepower. That one is the most fun to drive, but that's not what I had. I had the hybrid, which, you know, the 245 horsepower is adequate. You know, it's you're not going to mistake this for driving a Supra or a BRZ or a GR Corolla. But you know, it'll get you around. It'll accelerate up to highway speeds without too much difficulty. And as long as you don't try to accelerate too fast, you're not going to get that droning of the engine at 4,000 RPM for several seconds. The biggest flaw of Toyota's hybrid systems is that their 4-cylinder engines just don't sound very good. And if they were better sounding engines, it'd be so much more pleasant to drive. But they're not. And so, but on the other hand, they're reliable, and you get really good fuel economy out of them. You know, so this is a big vehicle. And it is EPA rated at, let me get back to the Monroney here, 34 miles per gallon combined, 36 city, 32 highway. I averaged about 32 overall during my week with the Grand Highlander. You know, it's easy to drive around. It's got a lot of the same features that are in the Crown Signia, 11-speaker JBL sound system. It's got this one doesn't have any kind of hands-free driving system, but it's got the regular Toyota Safety Sense 3.0. So you got adaptive cruise control and lane keeping or lane centering, even blind spot monitoring, cross traffic alert, you know, all that stuff. No heads-up display in this one in the limited the one that I had was the Nightshade, the hybrid Nightshade.
What's Nightshade?
Nightshade is this trim level that Toyota's been rolling out on almost all of their models over the last couple of years.
My brain wanted to make it a color. I'm like, no, wait, it's a trim.
Yeah. Well, it's a trim with just a couple of color options. So the way you tell a Nightshade, the easiest way to tell a Nightshade, it's got black wheels, black trim all around. So like the lower front bumper, the rocker panels, the pillars, that's all in black. And then like a dark gray or black for the grille. hence Nightshade. And you can get it in 3 exciting colors: Wind Chill Pearl, which is white, Midnight Black Metallic, black, or Cement.
Cement?
And I'm sure you can guess what that looks like.
Purple.
No.
Gray.
It is gray. It is one of the most boring color palettes of all time. But if what you're interested in doing is being completely stealthy and utterly invisible to police with sitting at the side of the highway with radar guns, this is your choice.
There you go.
This is the one to have, because you could probably drive by a cop sitting there with a radar gun at 120 miles an hour, and he probably won't even see you.
You just blend right in.
Exactly. You'll be exactly the same shade as the pavement and everything else around you. You know, he'll be picking off, some poor schmuck driving 5 miles an hour below the speed limit in a bright red Corolla.
There you go. The Corolla, the bright red. Bright red. They always say red cars get picked off more often, but
yeah. But this is meant to be a large family hauler. It, and also behind the third row, unlike the regular Highlander, which has, I think, about 6 inches of cargo space behind the third row when the third row seats are up. This you can actually fit stuff, bags, and you can put a bunch of roller bags in there, or if you've got young kids and you need to carry a playpen or assorted other child detritus, it'll all fit in there with no problem at all.
Nice and roomy. Good family choice.
Yeah. All in, the Nightshade version that I have, the base price of the Nightshade is $52,610. The one I drove came to $59,207. Thanks to the $600 for the panoramic view monitor, so the surround sound cameras. $1,350 for the panoramic roof.
Wow, that's kind of a lot. Well, $1,350, yeah, it's a big roof. It's a big vehicle, so
yeah, you get 3 rows to expose. The illuminated cargo sills are $345. Illuminated door sills, another $345. Mudguard, there's a bunch of stuff on this one that you probably like. For example, the running boards. Running boards are $799.
Get rid of this.
This is technically an SUV, but this is not like trying to climb into a Raptor or a TRD Pro. These running boards feel like they're so low to the ground. You don't actually need them.
They just are there to look cool.
Unless you're planning to use this in parades and have people standing on the running boards, hanging on to the pillars with the windows open and waving as you go down your main street of your town on July 4th. Don't save the $800.
Yeah, I don't think I would get them.
Yeah. What else? Yeah, that's about it. I mean, the Grand Highlander Nightshade Hybrid, it's a good family hauler. I still prefer a minivan for this kind of application. And you can get the Sienna minivan standard with this exact same powertrain. Mm-hmm. And it has sliding doors that
it's a really
when
good
your kids
minivan.
are trying to get out.
Yeah, I like the Sienna.
They're not going to bang the cars next to you.
In theory, they won't bang the cars with the doors, but they'll still find a way to bang the cars. They'll walk into the side view mirror. Their backpack's going to smack it. Random iPad, blop. Yeah, something. Because they're kids.
I've raised a couple of them,
They kind of flail.
They're gone. They're on their own now. They're mostly self-sustaining.
Self-sustaining. Mostly.
Yeah. So that's the 2025 Grand Highlander Nightshade Hybrid.
Nice.
Let's see. Let's move on. Okay, so back to EVs and charging.
Yes.
We had 2 more manufacturers this week that announced that they have added support for charging at Tesla superchargers. You got Honda with for the Prelude or the Prologue, I should say, and the Acura ZDX. That's a pretty straightforward one because those are built by GM. They're using the same. They're offering the same Electron manufactured adapters that GM is offering for like $225. Right now, they don't yet have plug-in charge on those vehicles, and the Honda app, the Honda and Acura apps, still don't have support for managing charging at superchargers. So you have to utilize the Tesla app, but they charge at full speed, the 150 or so kilowatts that those vehicles support. And then there's the Lucid Air.
I love the Lucids. I really do love those vehicles.
I do, but and I'm going to be in California next week for a little while. I'll be going to the same Hyundai program that you're going to, but on a different day, and then spending a long weekend with my wife in Sonoma.
Nice.
And we're going to be driving a Lucid Air, but I don't think I'm going to bother trying it out at a supercharger station.
No, why not?
Yeah, because the Lucid Air. One of the great things about it. It's a 900 volt architecture, and if you plug it into an Electrify America or other 350 kilowatt CCS charger, it'll crank along at 260, 70, 80 kilowatts to charge. Charges really fast. If you plug it into a supercharger, not so much.
This is
you get
so
50
slow.
Kilowatts.
This is so slow.
Yes.
So it's not so,
and that's because of it's the Air, the power electronics box. They call it the Wunderbox. That handles it's the inverter and the charging unit and all this stuff. The way it was set up, it was not designed to support the supercharger, which runs at only 400 volts. And so what they actually had to do to get supercharger support is they when you plug into a supercharger, instead of just letting the electrons flow directly from the charger into the battery because it's direct current all the way, what they end up actually doing is it goes through the Wunderbox, where it's actually converting it from DC of the charger to AC, to alternating current, like you would get on a level 2 charger, and then pumping that into the battery.
So you will get a whopping 200 miles per hour of charging.
Yeah.
That's I feel like a sad trombone. We need that sound effect right there. Wah, wah.
I know. So this will charge about as fast as a Chevy Bolt on a supercharger.
Not ideal. I mean, not bad. It still gives you access to it, right? You still use it if that's the charger that you have available.
As a
right?
last resort.
Right? So it gives you more access points, technically, but just a really slow one. Really, really slow one. What a bummer. Should have bought a Lucid Gravity.
And also the charge port is on the wrong side for a supercharger, which means that you'll be taking up an extra parking space from a Tesla owner and pissing them off because you're there for so long.
Right. You're taking that spot up. Everybody else has been in and out and in and out. And you're just like, just hanging out, reading a book, drinking a latte.
Yeah. So if you got a Lucid Air, look for Electrify America, EVgo, ChargePoint, or Iona 350 or 400 kilowatt chargers as your preferred approach.
Yeah.
The Gravity, the Lucid Gravity, is set up differently. It doesn't use the same Wunderbox system, so it'll actually charge at 225 kilowatts on a supercharger.
So that's good. That's a little better.
So if you have a Gravity, if you're one of the 20 or 30 people that have gotten a Gravity so far, yeah, as much as I like the Gravity, it has not been a really fast seller so far?
It hasn't, but I think EVs just in general, there's a lot of, politics and cost, and now it's not the cool thing anymore. It was cool and new, and now it's just like, yeah, people go back and forth. I go back and forth.
So let's go back to Honda.
Okay, back to Honda.
What did you think of the Acura TLX?
Fine. Acura TLX was just fine. Cool little car. Yeah, nice little sedan. Did its thing. Yeah, I was okay with the TLX. Why is that?
Because it is no more. With the end of the 2025 model year, it has ended production.
Another sedan bites the dust.
Yep.
It's a
good-looking sedan, too.
It does. Actually, it is a really good-looking vehicle. We're going to have no sedans. We're just going to have little compact cars, a few of them out there for people who want a little compact crossovers. What do we have then for sedans? I'm looking at Honda. We have...
so you got Toyota Camry.
Civic.
And Corolla.
No, but I mean for Honda. All we're going to have...
for Honda. They have the Accord.
For Acura. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong company.
Acura's got nothing.
Nothing.
It's all crossovers
right?
now. Yeah.
The last one.
But yeah, Honda's got the Civic and the Accord.
And I was thinking,
and then they'll have the
Acura.
0 Series Saloon next year.
Right. Hopefully.
But no Acura sedans.
No Acura sedans. That's...
there's the Integra.
No, there's
I forgot the Integra.
And so we have Integra, TLX no more, ZDX. Yeah, ZDX, ADX, RDX, MDX. The TLX is gone. So just be the Integra.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll kill Integra? Is Integra doing well?
No, I haven't looked at the sales lately.
I'm scared for Integra. They just brought it back, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is based on the Civic, which still sells really well.
True.
So it could be kept around. It's definitely doing better than the TLX.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. For now. All right. And then the other news from Honda is they released some information about the Prelude that's coming up this fall, the new Prelude. And the Prelude is a new coupe based on the Civic platform, and it's going to be hybrid only. Mm-hmm. So it will have the powertrain from the Civic Hybrid, so about 201 horsepower. But the suspension is coming straight from the Civic Type-R.
That should make it really fun.
Yeah, because
it should make it a lot of fun.
Yeah, the Type-R has completely different front suspension from other Civics. So it's got what they call it's a dual axis setup. So the steering axis is separate from what was it now? Trying to remember now.
You've lost your technical edge. So all of a sudden it went out.
Lost it. But basically what it does is it effectively eliminates torque steer. Mm-hmm. So you can drive this thing really quickly, accelerate out of curves, and not have the wheel get twisted out of your hands. And it's using the same brakes, the same Brembo brakes from the Type-R as well. So it could actually be really fun to drive.
And it also says in here that the hybrid system is getting paired for the first time with the Honda S Plus shift system. I want to make sure I got that right, which is supposed to basically enhance, control and handling and make it all better and fancy. So it should be fun. I'm looking forward to this. I'm still a little bit sad because they didn't give me little pop-up headlights. I know those aren't a thing anymore, but I feel like the Prelude should have pop-up headlights or it's wrong. It would be like getting rid of the drop top in a Miata. It breaks my heart.
Well, the last couple generations of the old Prelude had fixed headlights as well.
Which was a mistake.
That's why they got canceled, right?
See, they got rid of the headlights. They're like, well, no one wants it without the pop-up headlights. Let's kill the car.
Good point. It's funny when I went to when we went to sell our Civic back to the dealer where we bought it from when we bought the EV6. they actually had a first generation Civic or first generation Prelude, I should
Really?
say, sitting in the showroom.
No way.
A gold one, yeah.
Gold. Oh my God, that's perfect.
Very 1970s.
I was gonna say that is the color you want for a first gen. So that, like, hello, I'm driving 1970 down the road.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. So looking forward to getting to try out the new Prelude this fall. 'Cause
Yeah.
The Civic Hybrid was surprisingly fun to drive.
I like the Civic Hybrid. I thought it was a good
Yeah.
little car. So yeah, or is. I say was like it's
Yeah.
it is a good little car.
I mean, I gave it a bunch of votes for Car of the Year last year for NACTOY.
Yeah, and it was the 25 North American Car of the Year for NACTOY, so it won. So clearly enough that our 50 journalists, enough of us thought that it was a decent car that it won that award. It was good. It was a really good car.
Yeah. All right. Another battery EV battery story, but this is a positive one.
Yay!
So where's this? I'm trying to remember where this guy's from. He's in Santa Cruz, California. A guy named Dave Blankley. He bought a 2022 Mustang Mach-E to use for ride hailing. And in 3 years, he has managed to put 250,000 miles on this thing.
That's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it works out to somewhere around over 300 miles a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year.
Wow. That guy works, man.
And he's charging this thing all the time. And so when they took it to the dealer, they checked it out. And this thing still has 92% of its original capacity. It'll still go over 290 miles on a charge, even after 250,000 miles.
That's incredible. That's a lot of miles because it's a short, like that's all been done in a very short period of time. So it's neat to have that
3 years.
To have that kind of figure on an EV. You'd have to wait a lot longer for a lot of people to ever hit, if they hit that kind of mileage, to still be 92. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And the standard battery warranty on this thing is 8 years or 100,000 miles. So he's still well within the 8 years, but he's gone a little over the mileage limit.
Gone just a skosh over the limit. He's getting no warranties for anything at this point.
But some of the things he does, he does a fair amount of DC fast charging, but lots of level 2 charging. But he, except for if he needs to take a longer trip, he sets the charge limit at 90%, which is generally the thing to do if you're just driving it around day to day. Set the max charge to 90%, so there's less risk of overcharging.
Yeah,
and batteries tend to last a long time when you do that.
Yeah, he says he's charging it, and he's charging it mostly home, except on his high mileage days. What counts as a high mileage day when you're putting that many miles on? He'll stop for like 15, 20 minutes to charge a DC fast charger. So I think the bulk of his charging is happening at home. And hey, he's using it the way you're supposed to, not charging to 100%. And it's holding up, sounds like the way it's supposed to, and then some.
Yeah.
That's good news.
Yeah, I mean,
Positive
with a
battery
gas car,
news.
after 250,000 miles, you're probably not going to have, you're certainly not going to have 90% of your original fuel economy, or probably 90% of your original power.
Right. And I think that's something that people don't think about with EVs. Like when you think about battery degradation and, I'm not going to get the range that I was getting when the thing was brand new after 5 years, you don't get any of the numbers that you got when your gas car was new either. Everything over time, you're getting worse fuel economy. Your power isn't what it was when you first bought it. So if you think like, gosh, I've had my car a long time, it doesn't feel as powerful. It doesn't seem like it's getting the fuel economy. You're probably right. It's a slow thing. It shouldn't happen when your car's a year old or something. But over time, whether, the battery is going to not hold as much of a charge as it did in your EV, but your car isn't going to get the fuel economy or power that you once had in your gas car either. Just a function of things aging.
Yeah. So, for those that are avoiding buying an EV because you think, you're going to have the kind of experience you have with your smartphone where you've got to replace the battery after a couple of years or replace the phone after a couple of years because the battery no longer holds a charge. That's just, except for first generation Nissan Leafs, that's just not the case.
Yeah.
A lot of studies have shown that everything other than a Nissan Leaf typically loses about 1 to 1.5% of capacity per year for normal driving. So typically after 10 years, you're still going to have 85 to 90% of your original capacity. In some cases, like this one, it's even better. Battery EVs all have a minimum 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty on the batteries. Some, like the Hyundai Kia batteries, like our EV6, is 10 years, 100,000 miles. Within that time, if you've gotten down to 70% state of charge, they'll replace the battery, but they almost never have to do that.
Right. You got to figure too, warranties are peace of mind for you, but they're not going to issue a warranty that they're not fairly confident that the car is going to outlive, So if you see that kind of warranty, you can have a pretty good feel that it's going to go longer than that before things go wrong.
Yep, exactly. Let's see what's next on the list. Oh, speaking of warranties and EVs, have you ever dropped your phone in water?
I have actually dropped my phone in water once or twice. It survived, but I did.
Have you ever taken it in for service and they stick a little thing in the holes
yes.
to look for the little sticker in there that indicates water exposure?
Yes, and thankfully the times I've needed service, it had not been dropped in the water, so I passed.
Well, apparently a lot of Tesla owners are not passing.
Did they drop their car in water?
Well, I mean, generally, when a vehicle is designed to operate in all kinds of conditions, like rain,
snow,
yeah, and so they're expected to be exposed to water. But apparently, according to this story from Jalopnik, it says in 2023, Tesla paid $1.23 billion in warranty claims, which is a 53% increase over 2022, and would have been, let's see, and then this year last year they was $1.45 billion, which seems okay given the number of vehicles on the road. And they have 4-year 50,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty, the same 8-year 100,000 miles on the battery. However, apparently a number of owners have been frustrated by what isn't covered by the warranty, which is water damage. Multiple owners have complained that Tesla has refused to pay to replace their warranted batteries because of evidence of water damage was found. Many of the owners claim that the only water exposure was due to rain. However, Tesla refused to budge, leaving its customers on the hook for battery replacement cost, which was roughly $21,000 in one case. Yeah.
That's weird. What would what part of your battery would something have to be not sealed properly? Like, okay, let's say they haven't accidentally driven their car into a lake, right? So it's just normal water exposure like all vehicles get. What would it be? The battery's not sealed properly for the...
That's really the only thing it should be, yeah.
Wow. That would be a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, the batteries, when they manufacture the battery packs, they should be completely sealed, with to prevent any water intrusion. If you've ever watched any teardowns of battery packs, you'll see that they tend to be rather difficult to open up.
Right.
Because of all the sealant they put around the various parts. But apparently some Tesla owners have been having issues with water intrusion and Tesla refusing to honor the warranty.
That's a stinker. Yeah, especially if your car hasn't been through water. I mean, if you were dumb and you drove through floods or drove through water, which, turn around, don't drown people, don't do that. Forget the warranty. Just don't drive through water that way. Like if there's a flood or something, don't do it. But it would be a bummer. I would be so angry. I'd be crankier than I am with my car. I'd be really ragey.
Well, one Model S owner says Tesla refused to pay for the $7,900 replacement of the rear drive unit, which is normally under warranty, because water was found in the high voltage harness cover. So those big orange cables that you see on EVs and hybrids, they found warranty, or they found water inside the casing, the insulation. So clearly, their seals were not working.
Right. That has to be what it is. It can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's not randomly driving through a flood.
Yeah. And of course, we've heard the stories of Cybertruck owners whose vehicles' finish has been damaged just by going through a car wash. So they in the Cybertruck owner's manual, it talks about not leaving it out in the rain, or making sure you dry it off right away. Otherwise, the
it does not talk about rain. Oh, for the stainless steel staining, yes,
Yeah.
which is exactly one a car that I would want is one that I have to worry about the rain. I don't.
Yeah, it says here in the if you have to take your Cybertruck through an automatic car wash, the manual lists several precautions. These include engaging car wash mode, avoiding hot water and detergents, and checking with the car wash staff to find out if the soap they use has a pH above 13, and then not washing it in direct sunlight. So if the soap has a high pH, it can damage the stainless steel finish. The car wash mode is interesting because the battery pack on that actually has some drains in the bottom of the pack. There's a gap at the bottom of the battery pack, which if there's any water intrusion, the water goes there and then it's supposed to drain out. And what they actually do in the car wash mode is there's an air compressor that will actually pump air into the battery pack to put positive pressure inside the battery pack to try to prevent water from coming up through those drain plugs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's complicated.
It is.
It's definitely not a simple design.
No. All right, let's move on. Another Acura story.
Okay.
We talked about the Integra being the last car in the Acura lineup.
Yeah.
But this week, somebody bought an old Integra. What year was it? Integra Type-R.
Did it say? Wait a minute. I'm not seeing it. 2001.
2000, yes, the 2001 Integra Type-R.
Phoenix yellow 2001 with 4,800 miles. Whoa, someone never drove that. Why would you not drive that when it was new? That would have been so fun.
I wouldn't laugh at somebody paying, $25,000-$30,000 for this car with that low mileage.
And
but that's not what somebody paid on Bring a Trailer.
They paid just a little bit more than that. What did you say? You think? What would you pay for this car? Say you were going to buy this, Sam. What would you pay?
I think 30,000 seems reasonable.
Okay, that feels reasonable because it's not a car you find.
A 25-year-old Integra.
How about $204,204?
No.
Yeah,
that's just stupid.
Someone paid that much money on Bring a Trailer. I mean, I'm not.
Those Integra Type-Rs were great cars. They were a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. It was fun, but $204,204, and whoever you are, good for you that you spent a couple $100,000 on a car that you really want, but you really wanted this that bad? Must mean that there were a lot of people who wanted it that bad, right? If it got all the way up to that,
I guess, yeah.
Like a lot of people were fighting for it, or at least two guys, two girls, two humans, were fighting for it.
Two people
to get to 204,204. I feel like that should be his license plate, 204,204. That's kind of a neat number.
Yeah. I mean, granted, those Type R's, the four-cylinder engine had an 8,400 RPM red line. I mean, these were crazy revving engines, but that's just too much.
It's just so perfect. There's a picture of the engine bay.
Yeah.
It's very pretty and perfect. It looks like a new car. Even the interior looks like a new car.
It does.
I mean, have fun with it, dude. Please. I hope they're not just leaving it in a garage somewhere.
Probably.
Drive it and enjoy it. I mean, it's your car, do it, but drive it. Okay. I'm okay
So,
now.
did you ever get a chance to drive the current generation Supra that's just going out of production now?
I think I did at some point drive the Supra. Pretty sure I did.
Well, it's going away. It was built in partnership between Toyota and BMW on the platform of the BMW Z4. Mm-hmm. And it's, it hasn't been hugely popular.
No.
I was kind of underwhelmed by it. The powertrain's great,
Yeah.
drives and handles great, but the looks and seeing out of it was challenging.
I have this memory of seeing out of it, that being like, where am I? Like I do remember driving this. It was not, visibility was not great. It's not great.
Yeah.
But now we're not going to have to worry about it because it's dead again.
Yeah. Well, Toyota is planning to build a 6th generation Supra.
Yay, I guess, but
But they're
make it
not going
better.
to partner with BMW this time. They're going to build it. And I'm guessing it'll probably use the 2.4 liter turbo hybrid powertrain that they have in the Tacoma and the Land Cruiser and the 4Runner.
That could be incredibly fun in a tiny little car like the Supra.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, so have you ever ridden in a Waymo?
I don't think that I have. We rode in what was the one that we did? The driverless car?
That was Cruise.
We rode in a Cruise. I think that's it. Just a Cruise.
Okay. So, you spend a fair amount of time in Boston.
I have.
Do you think that vehicles like that, robotaxis, could survive in Boston?
I think if you want to test to see if your vehicle can actually handle things, put it in Boston and see what happens. And say a prayer before you say. I don't think it could. The problem, so Waymo wants to theoretically bring cars here. That's the story we're talking about, to Boston. It hasn't been axed. It hasn't been approved. There's just all sorts of discussion. Unsurprisingly, organizations like unions for taxi drivers and app drivers don't want it because it would take away for their business. A lot of people just don't want it in general. They don't feel like they're safe enough. And Waymo even admits, like someone said, well, what about winter weather? Because winter weather is bad enough. Winter weather in a city is its own special circle of hell because narrow roads get narrower. Parking spaces become harder and harder to get in and out of. Where there were 10, there's now 5 because snow takes up half the space. It's a really big challenge. And we even said, like, yeah, we're not sure how it would handle in extreme weather. But I love one of the comments, and I wasn't sure if it was this in another story that I saw because I read a lot about this since it's local. People like, how are they ever going to handle how aggressive Boston drivers are? That to me is the part that I would be worried about because I can tell you every warning system I have in every car I've ever driven when I'm driving in Boston is constantly yelling at me because it thinks I'm too close. I'm cutting someone off. I'm about to rear end someone. I'm like, no, this is just driving in Boston. Calm down, car. I don't think a self-driving car can handle it. Like, I don't see how the Waymo is going to handle it. We need to find someone who has a Tesla who's tried it.
Yeah, I haven't seen any videos of people trying FSD in Boston.
Like, not just driving on the highway. Like, get yourself down there by Faneuil Hall where there's 1 million tourists. See what happens.
Well, I've ridden through Fisherman's Wharf area in a Waymo, and it handled it just fine.
Did it?
All kinds of traffic and pedestrians around there, and it had no issue with it at all.
Yeah, they talked about that in the other chat. I mean, it's a challenging place to drive. So if it can navigate that, gold star to Waymo. But I get why people would be nervous about it because we do have a lot of streets too that make absolutely no gosh darn sense whatsoever. Like you come to an intersection, there's 6 different intersections lanes of travel coming in, and good luck figuring out when you have the right of way, that kind of thing. But I feel like I feel like it would get approved. I mean, there's definitely benefits to having that for people who hate driving in the city.
Well, it sounds like a lot of the people in Boston City Council at a meeting this week were actually against it.
Yeah. The city council was not really pro having these vehicles come in. So it doesn't have a lot of support because I think City Council probably is against it because they have so many questions still. But so far, Waymo hasn't actually said we are hoping to start testing whatever, December 1st or something. They've just been doing a whole bunch of mapping, and the mapping they were doing was with drivers was with a driver driven. I was like,
manually driven.
Manually driven. What's the word I'm looking for? How do I say that? Not driverless, driver guided vehicles. So they haven't gotten to the point of saying, yeah, we want to try and launch this. So this is all sort of preliminary conversation about like, what do we think? So Waymo hasn't answered a lot of those questions because Waymo isn't there yet either.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, and also in Manhattan, because they're doing mapping in Manhattan as well, and they would like to tap into that market.
Yeah.
Obviously, a place like Manhattan. I don't know. I've only ever been into Boston once. I don't know how many people rely on taxis or ride hailing in Boston, but in New York, in Manhattan, a lot of people use taxis and ride hailing, and so that would be a huge market potentially for companies like Waymo.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty good number of taxis and more ride hailing services. I think those have gotten a huge chunk of Boston's services in that regard, but I have never looked at numbers, so it's just be like purely my random observations. There's still a number. I feel like you look at New York City and there's 1 million yellow taxis. I don't feel like it's like that in Boston, but they still have a good number of taxis and ride hailing services out there.
Okay. So going back to EVs again one more time, one of the challenges with EVs with range is speed. We've all we've talked about driving in really hot weather with the air conditioning on, or cold weather with the heater on. But the thing that has the biggest impact on EV range is your speed. Because aerodynamic drag goes up exponentially with your speed. It goes up with the square of your velocity. So if you double your speed, you get 4 times as much aerodynamic drag. So for if you're taking a road trip, consider being a little more judicious with what speed you set your cruise control at.
The only really truly long road trip I did was several years back in an EV6. And when I did that from California to Florida drive straight to see how it would work. And it was noticeable. Like that was one of the biggest things we noticed you had to keep easing up. Like if you got too heavy on the accelerator, even if anyone else around you is flying, and that's normally when you suddenly start speeding, right? Everybody else is going 80 and you're like, whoops, I'm matching the speed and that's way higher than the speed limit. But just dropping to hold right at the speed limit made a big difference. We could see it in the range that we were getting. So yeah, speed makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and even if you just drop to 75 or 70, that makes a big difference compared to 80 or 85. And if you're on a road trip and you're running low on range, and you need to get to a charger, just drop your speed down, and it'll make a huge difference. You'll get a lot more range out of it. It's better than getting stranded on the side of the road.
Exactly. So just slow it down a little bit, and suddenly your range will get a little better. Might give you that little extra oomph that you need if somehow you've misjudged or something's gone wrong.
And finally, our friends at TFL bought another car. Have you ever driven a Dodge Viper?
I've never driven one. I've ridden in one. That was the first time that I ever was on a track event, was in a Dodge Viper at a Chrysler thing. And I forgot who it was. He drove me around, did it in a hot lap, and it was hilarious. But I've never driven one.
I have had the chance over the years to drive several different ones of different generations, including a first generation model, which to call it crude would be a bit of an understatement. So the guys at TFL bought a first generation Viper, a 1994 Dodge Viper, and they put up their first video. They're going to be doing a bunch of videos with this thing. But they walked through some of the features or lack thereof of the first generation Viper. When the Viper first appeared in 1989 at the Detroit Auto Show, when the Detroit Auto Show first became the North American International Auto Show, the star of the show that first year was the Dodge Viper concept, the original Viper concept. And at the time, they weren't planning on building it, but they got so much positive attention for this thing that Bob Lutz, who was running product development, he was the president of Chrysler at the time, wasn't the CEO, but he was the president. He said, we got to build this thing. And so they had to find a way to figure out how to pay for building this thing. And so what they did was they did it as cheap as they possibly could. Basically, the only thing they spent any significant amount of money on was developing the engine. Everything else,
good luck with that.
If it wasn't absolutely necessary, wasn't there. Like Windows? Who needs Windows?
Overrated. Overrated.
Yeah. Door handles? Who needs door handles? Check out the link in the show notes. Watch the video that Tommy and Case did to introduce their new Viper. It's good fun.
I'm loving the first thing I noticed. I haven't watched the full video, but just looking at it is that that was an era when they were trying to figure out what to do to make you buckle your seatbelt. Remember, they were trying to make you buckle it, and
because they had the first passive restraint law,
right? And they have, but there's a weird. So to make sure you had your lap belt and your seat, everything. The seatbelt's on the door. It's like it's attached to the door. So when you shut the door, the buckle is on the. You're pulling it on the door. So if you open, I remember having these. If you managed to open the door with your seatbelt buckled, you were like, "Whoa!" Like it was this weird. It was weird.
Yeah, the intent was you were supposed to leave it buckled and just slide under the belts when you got in.
It didn't work that way. No, because when you did that, it was this giant seat belt like stretched in front of you. And if you had if you're trying to put something in the car, heaven help you if you're trying to put something in the car, like on the front seat, because you got just stupid seatbelt in the way that then is in the way when you close the door and squishes whatever you have there. If you had like a plant or something. Oh, I hated those seatbelts so much. Those are the ones that used to go across the track. There
were some that went up and down the A-pillar.
Oh, that was awful.
But the ones on the Viper, and there were some other cars as well that they were just static. They just mounted at the back edge of the door.
Yep.
And you just slide under them.
They stopped doing all that weirdness.
Yeah. So check out the video. It's good fun. All right, let's answer a few questions.
Okay.
First up from Paul in BC, British Columbia. My niece and her husband, who live in British Columbia, are expecting their first child and decided it's time to replace their Honda Fit. They would like a small, affordable station wagon and don't want an SUV. Unfortunately, this eliminates the only wagon in their price range, the Outback. They're now looking at hatchbacks, specifically the Impreza and the Kona. Both strike me as too small for a baby seat and a Corgi in the back seat and miscellaneous baby gear in the hatch. I've suggested that they consider a Honda Civic hatchback hybrid as a roomier option. Which of these cars can best fit 2 adults, an infant, a Corgi, and gear? What other hatchbacks in the mid-30s, $30,000 US, should they consider? I think the Civic is a great option.
The Civic, I'm trying to think, is the Corolla any...
The Corolla hatchback is smaller. It's shorter than the sedan.
I was trying to remember the sizing.
And the back seat is quite tight.
Yeah.
I would actually take a look at the Kona. The second generation Kona is quite a bit roomier, and that one might be worth. Try it out.
I think that's part of it. Like, this is a tough one because it's the putting the kids in the back and wanting small. That can be a little bit of a challenge. Like the hatchback is or the wagon is a great body style for a family like that. But you can. I mean,
the Corgi doesn't take up much room. I've got 2 of them. They fit in pretty much everything.
Yeah, the Corgi will make 2. And really, as their new parents expecting their first child, even if they don't have the baby yet and they have the car seat, I'd highly recommend taking that car seat with them, brand spanking new, to the dealership and putting it in the car and seeing how it fits. I recommend that to parents that even have kids already and are looking at a new car. Bring the car seats. like if you can find the kids to stay at home so you don't have to have them with you but bring the car seats, because the latch systems on some cars are easier to access than others. Getting more than one car seat is easier in some. So I think it's definitely worth bringing the car seat that they have before they even have the child and buy the car to the cars they want to try. And any dealership's going to let you plug that in and see how it works. They're going to let you do that. They want to sell a car. So yeah, I would say bring it and see how comfortable they are with it and how it fits. Maybe not so much dog, probably not going to let the dog in your car, but the dog will be fine. Make sure the car seat is easy for you to get in and out of whatever car you pick.
Another one I would take a look at is the, I don't know, it's not available yet, and I don't know what your timing is, but the Kia K4 hatchback is coming out soon. That one's a pretty good size that I think would be a good one to consider if the timing works for it. It says expected late 25.
So that might be too late unless they are just pregnant, but yeah, that would be a good one.
Yeah. Let's see what else is out there.
Well, that's probably going to be price-wise. It'll be too much. The price is the kicker.
Yeah.
Hatchbacks in the mid-30s. Unless they got a used vehicle that would open up a little bit wider of a range of vehicles for them,
a lightly used, something lightly used.
Yeah. That might not be a bad call. Because that they have a dog and they have a baby. That car's going to get trashed inside.
Yeah.
Like, they might not think so, but it is. So, used one.
But I would, like you said, Nicole, definitely take your infant car seat and take it to a bunch of dealers.
Mm-hmm.
Go to a Hyundai dealer, see if it fits in the back of the Kona. I know 2 corgis will definitely fit in the back seat of a Kona. So, if you got one and a baby, you'd probably be okay.
I feel like it'd be okay. The baby gets one side, the dog gets the other.
There's also the new Nissan Kicks, the second generation Kicks. That's a little bigger than the first gen.
Yeah.
That one, starts around 24,000. So that's one to take a look at. What else is out there? Stellantis has no cars, except for the Charger.
Yeah.
GM has no cars except for the Cadillac CT5. So yeah, I mean, another one to take a look at, would be something like the Chevy Trax.
Oh yeah, the Trax is a good little car.
Yeah, and very affordable. Mm-hmm. At least for now, till the tariffs hit it. Yeah, I mean, there's a few options out there. I think one of the smaller crossovers is probably going to be your best bet. Definitely take a look at the Trax. Take a look at the Kona, and the Civic.
Yeah, I think those are good bets. They need to try out a few and see what they like and comfortable and fit that car seat for sure.
Yeah. And, like the Civic has got plenty of room in the back for all of your baby detritus. Mm-hmm. So you can definitely fit all that stuff in there. So yeah, those are some options. All right, next up, frustrated Rick in Utah. Hey guys, listen every week. I was sorry to hear about Nicole's battery issues. Well, you'll be really sorry to hear today's show.
Yeah, it got worse. Frustrated Rick in Utah.
Here's my current battery issues and gripe. My Mach-E, which I absolutely love, has had 12-volt issues for 2.5 years. I've gotten warnings to check the 12-volt battery. Every time my dealer says everything's fine. 2 weeks ago, my Mach-E had an over-the-air update fail, and it had to be towed. Since then, my car failed to start twice. The last one, I had to have it towed. Now my dealership is telling me that it'll be $350 for the battery and $150 for diagnostics. That sounds bogus to me.
Yeah. Wait, no, because that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, and this car is still under warranty.
Well, and you've reported it to them repeatedly. Like, it's not like you have an argument, Rick.
Unless you have also accumulated 250,000 miles on your car in 2.5 years, your car should still be under warranty. and you should not be getting charged for any of this.
Yeah, he says his question is, doesn't the onboard computer record all these warnings? Why am I responsible for Ford's inability to correct this problem? I understand batteries have wear and tear, but when there's a constant problem, why am I the beta tester? I feel you, Rick. It does record things, but it should record if you're having a problem. The trick, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, it might say like 12-volt battery issue. It isn't always clear why it's having a 12-volt battery issue. Is the battery just failed because the internal components of the battery went bad? Did the battery fail because some random module was staying on? Sometimes the codes don't tell the whole story, but if you're getting warnings, it should have recorded that. Now, I think they do clear out at a certain point, right, Sam? Don't they clear out?
It depends on the nature of the fault code that's detected. So some stuff, if it's intermittent, it may, if the problem goes away and doesn't recur, it will clear those faults. Mm-hmm. Other things should stay, and it should be persistent.
And if you went into the dealer when you were having those warnings to have it checked, when you went into the dealer and they pulled the codes, they would have a record of the fact that they pulled the codes. Like they should have that you went in, and so there should be a record that you've been telling them for 2.5 years that you've been getting warnings. So yeah, I don't think you should be on the hook for this, and I would argue with your dealership a little bit over this issue.
The other thing you should probably do is call Ford customer service.
Absolutely.
And I'll put a link in the show notes, but it's ford.com/help/contact. And so there's chat on there, there's social media channels, and there's also phone numbers that you can call, including one specifically for customer service issues.
I mean, sometimes just in general, if you're having a hard time, anybody with the dealership, sometimes if you really feel like you're just being wronged, kind of, if you will look up whatever OEM's customer services at a corporate level instead of, the official Ford or Jeep or Subaru or whoever customer service, once you get out of the dealership and you reach out to them, they'll sometimes be able to, if things are really you're not being treated right, they can sometimes right that wrong for you. So it's always worth a phone call, especially if you're looking at paying for something you don't think you should be paying for.
And the 12-volt problems on the Mach-E it's not an isolated problem to you. Mm-hmm. Ford has a current ongoing recall for that. So, that's something that Ford should be covering. The dealer should not be charging you for a battery. Mm-mm. Or for diagnostics.
No, because especially if it's a known issue, then it should just be like, yeah, you're having an issue that we know about. It's under warranty. There's a recall. We'll take care of this.
All right. Last question from our friend Sean Whitehurst. Hello, Wheel Bearings team. I'm a little behind in the podcast, but Ford should go with Maverick.
He made the EV and Maverick capitalized in his email.
Yeah. I'm setting myself up for a disaster if I buy an off-lease Mercedes EQS sedan, or am I setting myself up for disaster if I buy an off-lease EQS sedan? They're in the 30s now.
Am I setting myself? I don't know, disaster.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I would not have a issue with that.
Yeah, I mean, Mercedes has already taken the hit on the depreciation, so if they're willing to sell an off-lease car for, the $100,000 car for something in the $30,000 range, go for it.
Yeah,
it's a good car.
Yeah,
if you like the way it looks, and it drives well, it's got decent range. Go for it.
And then he even says some background. I've always wanted an S-Class for the comfort. We currently have a 14 Nissan Leaf for around town.
That would be quite a step up from a Leaf to an EQS.
Wow. We have a 24 Cadillac Lyriq on lease that ends this year. It's wonderfully comfortable and quiet, even in the base, which was discontinued, the tech trim. Since getting the Lyriq, I've driven in a current gas Escalade and gas 7 Series. Neither of them seem significantly more comfortable and quiet than the Lyriq. I can get past looking at the EQS from the outside, but I'll go crazy if it has to routinely go to the dealers. I've always had incredibly reliable cars, Acura mainly, and have never really needed to replace major components on cars. Would buying an EQS require a relationship with a mechanic and deep pockets? And does air suspension still reliably fail from Mercedes? I haven't heard the air suspension issue of late. Have you heard that?
Not recently. Most of the modern air suspensions are a lot more robust.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't have reservations about, that's in the 30s I think I'd give it a go. Don't yell at me if it doesn't work out, but I would give it a go.
It's worth a shot. I mean, at that price point, it's lost 70% of its original value already.
Right?
What do you got to lose?
Why not?
Yeah. So says the guy who just bought a used EV a few weeks ago, and we'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for this week. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll be back next time.
Bye, everyone.
Hey there, are you sitting down? Good, because Wayfair's biggest sale of the season is here, and you can shop it right from your couch. It's Wayfair's Black Friday and July sale, and it's on now. Right now, you can score up to 80% off everything home at Wayfair. Snag outdoor furniture and decor at up to 60% off. Get area rugs for every room at up to 80% off. And refresh your sleep space with up to 60% off bedroom furniture. Plus, score amazing doorbuster deals and 24-hour surprise flash deals. And get it all with fast and free shipping on everything. Yep, even the big stuff. Right to your door. These are Wayfair's lowest prices of the summer. And did we mention they only last 5 days? So don't wait. Head to wayfair.com today to score up to 80% off Wayfair's biggest sale of the season before it fizzles out. Shop Wayfair's Black Friday and July sale now through July 28th, only at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.